What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 11 of Bible Verse Breakdown. Now, before we get into the episode, know that I am relatively new to Christianity, so if I say something wrong or something you disagree with, let me know in the comments down below. Now, the verse of the day is John 9:41, which says this: "If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin, but now because you claim that you can see, your guilt remains." Now, before we understand the verse itself, it's important to understand the context. And this verse is said at the end of a story where Jesus heals a man that had been born blind. He had been blind his whole life. Now, before Jesus actually heals this man, the disciples actually come across him and ask Jesus a question. And they ask him, "Rabbi, who committed the sin that caused him to be born blind, this man or his parents?" Now, the disciples asking this question actually reveals a common belief at the time that any sort of physical harm done to you was due to a sin that you had done or your own family had done. But Jesus replies to them and says this: "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but he was born blind so that the acts of God may be revealed through what happens to him." And then Jesus heals the man, and this reveals that not only does Jesus have the power to heal someone's sight, but he has the power to reveal God's good intentions. So Jesus heals a man, and now everyone hears about it. Everyone hears about it, the word spreads, and now even the Pharisees hear about it. And the Pharisees were the religious leaders at the time that were known for their strict interpretation of God's law and their religious authority. So the Pharisees hear about this and they become divided. Half of them are skeptical about what they hear about Jesus, and the other half are questioning how could such a common man perform such a miracle. And eventually Jesus ends up saying, "For judgment I have come into this world, so that those who do not see may gain their sight, and the ones who see may become blind." And the Pharisees overhear this and ask Jesus, "We are not blind too, are we?" And that's where Jesus says, "If you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin, but now because you claim that you can see, your guilt remains." Now, if this is your first time hearing this story in this verse, it could definitely be a little bit confusing at first, but I'm going to break it down for you guys. When Jesus refers to someone that's blind, he doesn't mean physically blind, he means spiritually blind. And someone that's spiritually blind is unaware of their sin. They don't recognize that what they're doing is against God's will. Now, this could be because they haven't been taught or they just haven't been given the opportunity to actually understand. And because of this, someone who is spiritually blind isn't held fully accountable in the same way as someone who willfully rejects God's word and his will. And that's why Jesus says, if you were blind, you would not be guilty of sin. So in other words, if you don't know any better, you aren't judged as harshly. But the Pharisees are a different story. They claim that they can see. They act as if they have full knowledge of who God is, believe they are spiritually enlightened, and even speak with religious authority. But the reality is, they can't claim to know God if they reject Jesus, who is right in front of their face. Despite Jesus performing all of these miracles, they refuse to acknowledge who he is. And that's why Jesus says, because you claim that you can see, your guilt remains. So the Pharisees know the truth and still choose to reject it, and that's why they're guilty. So they aren't just guilty of general sin like everyone else, but they're guilty of something much deeper. They're guilty of willfully rejecting the truth of Jesus while still pretending to know who God is. Their sin is rooted in arrogance, pride, and in refusing to be corrected. They aren't just blind, they're blind and insist that they can see. And that leaves zero room for growth, humility, and grace. And if you don't get it, I'm going to give you guys an analogy. Let's say there are two people trying to get to the end of a pitch black room. The first person admits that they have no clue where they're going and that they can't see. They carefully put their arms out, feel through the room, and ask for guidance. Now, if they bump into something, you can't get mad at them because they are blind. They're admitting their limits. But the other person insists that they can see just fine, even though it's clearly dark in the room. And because of this, they charge into the abyss. They charge into the abyss, bumping into things, knocking people over, and still refusing to get help. They refuse to get help because of their own ego and pride. And that's what Jesus is pointing out. If you claim that you are blind, if you just let go of the fact that you don't know everything, then there's room for growth. But if you insist that you can see perfectly and close yourself off from correction, then you will stay blind. And you will carry the guilt of staying stagnant. So this verse reveals to us that pride can make you more blind than arrogance ever can. And this verse also encourages humility and openness to truth, especially when that truth challenges what we think we already know. All right, that's it for the end of the episode. Thank you so much for watching. And if you're new here, I do a gym edit at the end of each video showing my progress in the gym as I recover from my ACL surgery. So if you want to stay for that, thank you so much. And if not, have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you.